the outside often doesn't match the inside. And even I've been told my whole life, well, there's no way you could have anxiety. There's no way you could have depression. And I'm like,
that I'm glad you said that, because looks are deceiving, and people really measure what they think about you based upon their measurement of themselves. Welcome to the Going 180 podcast. I am Dr. Deborah Wilson, your host, and I am here with Gillian. And we have fun together, as you can see. And I'm really excited to launch the new episode to At Going 180 entitled Fit Image. And so we're going to talk to Gillian because she will talk all things fitness, but we're also going to talk about holistically what it means to be fit. We're going to talk about our internal and our external mirrors and how that impacts and shapes our lives and the decisions and the choices that we make. From teenager all the way until 50-something? Yep. So we're going to talk about the gamut of what it means to be fit and how the image of our fitness impacts our life. So welcome, Gillian. I'm so excited to have you. And of course, you're my girl. So we're going to have some fun. I'm sorry to be here. Yeah. So let's see. We met at a fashion show. And we were at a fashion show, and I was in a place where my fit image was jacked up. And we were at this fashion show, and it was Gillian's turn to take the runway. I'll never forget it. And as you see, she's really nicely framed. She's little and very deceiving. And so she walked across the plank, and it was her turn to walk in the fashion show. And for whatever reason, the orator said, "Hey, Gillian, show us your muscles." And she turned around and flexed. And I'm telling you all, I was floored because she was so little, and and I looked and I was like, and then she did it again. She's really tiny, but she'll show you later. I can't wait. She's going to pop this off. And his muscles were popping everywhere. When she came off of that plank, I said, we got to get to know each other. I said, how do you do that? I don't know about you, but I have always wanted to be, this is Debbie, I've always been intrigued by women bodybuilders. Yeah, same. Right? But I never wanted to look like a man. And let's just be honest. There's always that concept of women that lift weights are dudeish, or women that lift weights are masculine, or they have too much testosterone, or they're just not feminine. Mm-hmm. And so that's always been a fear of mine. And I've seen them where they look really manly, but I have never seen an individual that was beautiful, statuesque, have the class, but also have that grit. And mom gonna knock you out, that grit. So yeah. So anyway, there's so many things that we can get into, but I just want to welcome you to this podcast. I'm so excited. We're actually in her studio. She has her own studio in Carmel. So when did your journey to, I would say, fitness start?
So in my 20s, so I had an eating disorder actually when I was 16. Mm-hmm. And then in my 20s, I'm still, I think, a little bit disordered. I was very, very extreme health focused. I was always doing a detox, a juice cleanse, a something, and definitely had no understanding of muscle or eating for muscle or body composition, and kind of maintained that for a while. Did a little bit of yoga, a little bit of this, was obsessed with anything health. I just wanted, I think it was my mental state. I wanted to feel like, if I was as pure as possible, as detox as possible, I might feel better. When really had a lot of mental stuff to go through.
So what was your eating disorder?
So I was dealt with anorexia when I was 16, and that then morphed into night eating syndrome, which is something I coach now, where because you're under eating so drastically in the day, you wake up at night and you feel this loss of control, and you eat or binge at night during the night.
And what were you eating at night? What did people eat at night?
So the really common ones are things, often people are very A-type personalities like myself. So during the day, they're eating super clean, healthy, and then at night they're going for the Oreos, the peanut butter was mine because my body was like, give me some darn calories.
I get it.
So you're finding it's basically, I tell people, I'm like, you're not doing anything wrong. Your body's just really smart. And if it's not getting what it needs during the day, for some people, it's going to wake you up at night.
So anorexia.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between anorexia and bulimia? I mean, because I know that, and I will share, and I've never told anyone this before, but I will share that when we were in high school and we were, going through that whole fit image and cheerleading and all those different types of things, that we would eat and then throw up the food.
Wow.
And I went through that. And that's not anorexia, though, right?
That's bulimia.
That's bulimia.
Yeah.
So what was yours? And what's the difference?
So anorexia, you're just not eating, or not eating enough, like eating very little.
Okay.
So that was when I was 16, and I actually moved to Ireland, and I felt very alone and I know I'd always struggled with my mental health. So it just was kind of a little exacerbated. I remember thinking, well, if I passed out, someone might know I'm not okay, because I always look okay.
Oh.
And it was this weird thing. And I think because when I was in Canada, I always had, my brothers watching over my friends. We never wanted to disrupt anybody or bother anybody. And there I felt like I had this little more freedom to push the boundaries a bit and express my inner struggle a little outwardly. And it was really weird. Like when I started to get too thin and my period stopped and I was losing hair, I remember thinking, this is not good. And we're told, like I was told my whole life, because I was always a curvy kid, skinny is good, smaller is better. You need to be less, you need to be this. And then I achieved that goal literally, and I felt empty and sick. And I thought, this is not good. When I go after goals from now on, I want them to be good goals worth achieving. Mm-hmm. And so I had this turning point. I worked on my recovery on my own, which I don't recommend. You should work with a professional. Mm-hmm. But I worked on my own, and I did develop the night eating, and that continued for years until I finally figured out how to properly nourish myself. And bodybuilding was a beautiful part of that, because I realized you cannot lift weights if you're not eating.
I know that's right.
And you got to fuel your body, and you're wasting time. If you're going to the gym and you're not eating, you might as well not show up.
I don't know.
And so it became this really healthy relationship for me. It isn't for all people. Some people take bodybuilding to extremes. I've always tried to find my healthy middle. Mm-hmm. And I fell in love with fueling my body and feeling good and feeling strong.
Well, thank you for being transparent about that, because a lot of people don't talk about mental health struggles, especially when it comes to anorexia and bulimia and, all those different types of symptoms that we do to try to make ourselves feel good about the way that we look. Yeah. So do you think that our internal mirror really does impact more so than the external mirror that we see when we look inside a reflection?
Oh, 1,000%. And I've worked with so many people over the years, and someone's inner view of themselves has nothing to do with their outer.
Wow. Unpack that a little bit.
Some, like, how do I explain it? You can be I've been my most insecure in the best shape of my life before, when I was going through stuff and I wasn't mentally well. And I've worked with people who, are, a certain beauty standard, but they are so self-critical and so unhappy with themselves that it shows. And it comes out. And then there are people who love themselves, and they're working out for the right reasons, and they love themselves through the process. And it's a very different thing. And I had a lot of understanding for every person in the game, but the outside often doesn't match the inside. And even I've been told my whole life, well, there's no way you could have anxiety. There's no way you could have depression. And I'm like,
that I'm glad you said that, because looks are deceiving. Mm-hmm. And people really measure what they think about you based upon their measurement of themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can look at your life, and I can look at the way that you look externally, and believe that because you look in a way that I would like to look myself, that means that you don't struggle with the things that I might be struggling with.
Yeah.
Because you don't look the way that I look.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that
we all do it. I do it too.
And I'm thinking women do it a lot.
Yeah. It's ingrained. You have to catch yourself.
But men do it too.
Oh yeah.
I think that we're learning, and I don't know if it happened in COVID where everything was shut down, and we had an opportunity to really, face ourselves, that we started embracing things. And I even noticed that men are more talkative and they're more expressive and they're more open and they're more transparent. And they now have this license to feel and to express themselves, which I absolutely love. Do you work with men too?
I do not a lot right now. I love working with women, so it's definitely my preference.
But I mean, I've seen some guys come through here.
But I have worked with men. I've worked with many awesome men over the years.
Yeah.
Right now, it's all women, which, I mean, I just love.
Well, yeah, what's not to love?
Because I like working with the hormones and the emotional component and all the sides. But I've always been open working to any gender identity. Yeah, but just right now happens to be all men.
So what gets us to a place where we see, okay, our internal mirror is telling us one thing, and then we look into the mirror and we don't like what we see? What gets us to a place where we actually, or do you believe that we actually, let's do something about it? I mean, when do you suggest that we do something about it? I mean, obviously you don't want to wait till you have a diagnosis or you have something that you can't get rid of, right? Or you are compelled to do it. What makes you want to be fit? We haven't even gotten to the place of you competing yet, but what makes you want to be fit in terms of just the way that you look on the outside? What drives you to do this?
And that's important. And I recently was learning that intrinsic motivation is the strongest form, and that's doing something for yourself. So whenever someone wants to get in shape because their partner says they don't look good,
so we go.
That's usually not a good way to start, and it usually makes it hard to sustain. I'm someone who's always intrinsically motivated. I just know how I want to feel. I know what I want to accomplish for myself. And for me, my turning point was I was at a low in my life. I actually was my most unhealthy. I'd gone through a divorce. I met my now husband, who was super healthy, and I just hated the way I felt. And that was a turning point, because in my detox era, I think I was a little more concerned about appearance. And this was the first time where I wanted to change my life and my identity as a healthier, happier person, and how I felt, how I lived. And that was my turning point. And I started just slowly building in healthy habits, learning how to exercise. It was this very healthy, gradual build. And then I discovered bodybuilding, and I was like, oh, yeah, well, this is for me, because it's such a beautiful science and discipline and beauty. And as a creative person, I also think it's great to have that, as long as you can do it in a healthy way.
Yeah. Now, honestly, meeting you and then, embarking upon that journey, even if I wasn't going to compete, changed my life. It really changed my life. And actually, I'm wearing your one of your merch. It's the GYB, Gillian Young Barkalow, but it also birthed Fit Image. Because after I met you and I started changing my fit image, I really want you to talk about, it's not just about losing weight, because I think that we get on these crash diets, and now we have Ozempic, which is really for people that have, I guess, diagnoses when it comes to, leveling sugar and things of that nature, right? But we use it for different reasons, whatever the reason, not judging why people do that. But the difference between using these crash diets or these fad diets that you end up resenting, and that you cannot maintain, and that when you stop them, you just blow up.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I think that I like this bodybuilding situation a little bit better. But can you talk about the difference between losing weight and becoming lean, or losing weight and maintaining a completely transforming your life?
Yeah. And they're very different. And often, the fast weight loss and the quick diets, they take your power away, because it's this one thing. And if you think, if I don't have this one thing, if I don't stop eating this one food, I lose total power, and you're putting your power into something else. Or I think with bodybuilding, learning to eat for body composition, learning how to become stronger, you're literally physically empowered, but also mentally empowered. Where now, even if I gain weight or body fat or whatever, I lose muscle, I understand the science of it. I know why. So I never think, oh, it's because I did bad, or I'm a bad person, or I ate dirty foods, or, it takes away this weird shame and idealistic thing we have, and, relying on influencers for information about nothing about nutrition. Like, you can't come at me or my clients with a, scam diet because we know better. And that's what I want. I want you to be empowered. And even if you do, you're like, I want to try this one thing, at least you know.
Well, I'm going to go back to the influencers. Talk about those ignorant. No, because they cause a lot of shame.
It's problematic. Yeah.
It's problematic. And they don't know anything about nutrition. And so I have people that I work out with. So can you talk to us a little bit, because this is what everybody wants to know. How much time do you need to spend in the gym? How much time do you need to spend on cardio? How much time do you need? Can you just be honest about this thing? Because I know people that are in this gym, 2 or 3 hours at a time. I can't be longer than 30 minutes. And you've taught me that.
Yeah.
And you've also taught me that I don't have to do that much cardio.
No.
I mean, cardio is good, but tell me, how does that really work with my weight loss and with my leaning?
Yeah. So everybody say, there's so many factors. So I would say it depends. So it depends on your specific goals, your specific body, blah, blah, blah. But again, we get so lost in wanting it to be the one thing. So if I work out this much, if I do this much cardio, but it's a holistic thing. So if you want to change your body composition, you want to think about your macronutrients, your protein, carbs, and fats, and then your energy balance with exercise. So if you're just exercising a ton, that's actually going to up your appetite, and then you could easily overeat and then not lose the weight, and vice versa. So you kind of always, you're looking for an energy balance. So for example, like right now, I'm focusing on building muscle while maintaining leanness as much as I can, so I'm going to compete in November. So I'm actually doing not a lot of cardio. Everyone should do a certain amount for your cardiovascular health.
Right.
But the only time I will use cardio as a weight loss tool is towards like the more intense part of my cut, when I don't want to lower my calories. So often people are doing both at the same time, but they're both in an energy balance in a way to basically reduce calories.
The hardest part that I've learned from you is, and this was very hard for me, is eating. I eating so much. I mean, it was like, are you sure you want me to eat this much? And the more I ate, and the more I worked out, and the way that you fashioned my macros, and we can talk about macros and what that is. And it doesn't necessarily, the weight did come off. It wasn't just about weight, but I looked completely different. And that's the thing that is almost scary. So how does that work? How does that?
Yeah. So often people are so obsessed with the number on the scale. They're just looking to lose weight. So they're losing, they may be losing some body fat. They're also losing bone density, water, muscle, all those things. So when we understand macronutrients and lifting weights, what we're doing is we're holding muscle while we lose body fat. So versus, just getting, I hate the term like skinny fat, where you're just kind of like getting smaller, you can keep and maintain and build shape. And that creates the wow effect. It takes much longer because everyone loves the like, oh, you lost so much weight so quickly, you look great. But when you do it this way, it takes time. And then like a year from now, you run into someone and they're like, what happened? And then you're, how old are you?
57.
57 and look like this. Like that's where some people are like, I know what I want to look like at 57. So I'm going to do it the slow, smart way because
I'll be 58. I'll be 58 in August. But, and I just went through a situation where we just reconnected and I said, I'm off. I'm completely off. And it doesn't take much. And, do you have to live like this for the rest of your life? No, I'm going to be honest with you. There's times when it's like, I have right now, I have my scale and I'm measuring this and I'm measuring that. I hate eggs. Okay. And I have to eat eggs because that's the best protein. I'm not frying the eggs. So I'm scrambling the eggs. I got the egg white. Then I've got a little bit of yolk. This time I had boiled eggs and I was like, okay, it's turning my stomach. So, but you've given me this whole dietary, all these different things that I can do. So that's really good. We want to talk about your business and how you're able to build and fashion and tailor make the whole, whatever the person's goal is. You can tailor make your program to help that person reach their goals. And that's what you're doing for me right now. But you've done it before.
Yeah. And I would say if you hate eggs, don't eat eggs.
Yeah, but
this is the nice thing with macros is and to make it sustainable, like I would say, like you shouldn't suffer. Like I enjoy every day of eating that I have because I eat what I want, but I just make it work with my macros. So you got to get creative. Just call me. We'll figure it out.
All right. Okay. So let's talk about what is your nationality?
Canadian, European.
Okay. I say that because when you go to the doctor and you are a woman of color, Mm-hmm. There are sometimes I've had a doctor say to me, wow, we're the same height. And you weigh 30 pounds more than I do. Okay. Yeah. Tell me about it. And I looked at her and I was like, well, I can't tell whether you're going or coming because, there was no shape. So I'm not trying to be funny, but she was also running 10 miles a day and you was all out of your mind and I'm not sure. I just got to be me. but when you're a woman of color, it's we're built differently, right? And so I don't think of you as this skinny, as they would say, skinny white woman. First of all, there's this, it's because there is this thing. You know what it is. There's this stigma that if you're thin, you're blonde, you're this, but that's not even where you're coming from. And so how do you deal with that? Because I know you have women of color clients.
Yeah. And so everyone goes, what's the right weight for me? And I'm like, there isn't one.
I love that. That's it, right? That's what sold me. Because my doctor told me the same thing.
God.
My doctor told me the same thing. Yes. But new doctor.
And the thing is, doctors go off BMI, which is total BS.
Yeah, my doctor won't do that too.
And doesn't understand body composition. Like you have very athletic body, you have great muscle tone. It's not considering that.
Yeah, and that's what my doctor said. And I have a doctor of color, and he's Hispanic, and he's older gentleman, and he said the same identical thing you said. So what? Like that. Yeah. So you need a good coach. You need a good nutritionist. You need an individual that is an expert in this field, but coupled with a good doctor. That's the balance. That's the level. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Because having you and having my doctor, and you're saying the same thing. I will be honest with you. I tried the whole Ozempic thing, but when I panicked, talk about that. When a woman gets overweight or when we feel like we're out of control, we panic.
Yeah. I see it a lot.
I panicked.
Yeah.
And so I went to the doctor and said, no, I need to take this medicine. Yeah. And he tried everything. He was so keen. He tried every test. And he said, you do not qualify.
Wow.
You don't qualify for it. And if you do take that, you're going to be treating something that you don't have, and you're going to lose what you're trying to maintain, which is, like you said, the composition and the muscle tone.
And that's the scary part with it. Yeah. And I understand that want to lose quickly when you're in a stage you don't feel like yourself and you're frustrated and your hormones are changing. And that's where I have to tell people, like, just think of you a year from now. I know it's so hard, but it will pay off, because when you lose the weight fast, you're losing that muscle tone, you're losing bone density. We're getting older. That's the worst thing we could do. And then what happens when you go off? Because all it's doing is cutting your appetite. And I work with people who deal with the repercussions of not eating enough. That's where night eating syndrome comes from. That's where binge eating comes from. That's where a lot of hormonal imbalances come from. So there's a cost to that. And that's the part that scares me. And I'm not fully against it. I know some people, it's like they need it. Their doctor recommends it. And I'm like, just be smart about it. Still lift weights. Force yourself to eat protein. Force yourself to eat regularly, because you don't want to screw yourself. Again, think of future. You don't want to screw her.
That's right. No, you're not vegan.
Nope.
You're not vegetarian.
Nope.
Okay. So what is your eating pattern?
Everything Tyrian. No food is bad food. I have celiac, so I can't eat gluten because I get sick. But other than that, I really believe in not demonizing foods. All foods are good foods. I know myself. So for my specific goals and needs, I prioritize protein, obviously. I have very sensitive blood sugar. I had gestational diabetes when I was pregnant. So I do have to watch. I'm at risk at type 2 diabetes. So I personally do a more high fiber, high protein, moderate carb diet, which is weird for a bodybuilder because usually it's a higher carb, but I have learned, and this is why I love coaching myself, I do not do well with that. I have so many negative reactions.
In a typical day, give me your typical day. What do you eat?
I was like, do you want the honest version?
I want the honest version. Shit, we need to know what's really going on underneath all this. Because we're gonna have her show you what's really going on underneath all this too. Don't let it fool you.
I'm an honest woman, and I will openly tell anyone, I'm like, I am in a season of my life where I'm not eating as well as I would like to, because I am a working toddler mom. And some days I don't have breaks because I'm trying to smush in as much work as I can, while my kid's in childcare. So during the day, I'd say my eating's not ideal, but I keep my main focus at hand. So I have my like protein coffee in the morning. I make my own protein balls.
Yes, you do.
I'll have some of those or a protein bar. I keep high protein yogurt drinks in my fridge because I can drink those between clients. And so I'm kind of having more like grazing things on the higher protein. I might throw in some fruit, some whatever on a good day. There might be a vegetable. But then when I go home, I know I need to make up for that. So I try and have like a balanced high protein snack when I get home before I leave. And then I always have a dinner that has tons of vegetables and a really good, source of protein like chicken or beef or something like that.
You eat bison.
I love bison. My whole thing with meat, I'm like, variety is key.
Okay.
And in your diet in general, the more variety you can, the better it is for your gut. So again, ideally I'd be eating fruits and vegetables all day long, but it's just not in my journey right now.
Okay. Well, that's okay. And I mentioned bison because I remember I came to your home and you were like eating bison. I'm like, what is that? I mean, it sounds like a big butt animal. And
so it's so
but I saw what it did for your figure and how it, it expanded it and it really shaped and reshaped your body. And
I'd like to get back, like, I need to start meal prepping and having like better meals like that during the day. But again, I'm an honest person. So
well, I need that. And what I need, okay, so right now I'm in the trajectory where I have to meal prep and I have to document everything because I'm starting again, I feel like ground zero. Yeah. Right. So when do I get to where you are? Why don't I have to do that?
Yeah.
When I stop eating out.
I mean, I think everyone's different and I'll track here and there when I need to. I've done it for so long
that you know how to,
that I kind of know. But I'll tell you a funny story. I've been buying these frozen high protein chicken fingers. And based on the macros at the back, I was like, oh, like I'm eating, let's say 400 calories, 40 grams of protein because I'm eating like half the big bag or whatever. I was so full. And I'm like, I know my body now. So I'm like, why am I so full? Like almost can eat my next meal full. And I looked it up and the macros were based on the frozen weight, which means in one sitting, I was eating 850 calories and 100 grams of protein. But I was like, I know something's wrong here.
But it's stuff like that, right?
You totally realize.
I would love for you to, and maybe at some point we'll have to do another. I want you to come back on Going 180 so we can show your competitive progress and then, the outcome of that, because I want you to walk us through. I want to spend some time for you to walk us through how to do macros. Calories are fine, but I love the macro diet. And how do you determine how much a person should take and how much protein they should have based upon their workout regimen? It's almost like a chemist.
Yeah.
Because Coach Red, he's a chemist. I think he is, and by trade,
engineer.
He's an engineer. Yeah. And so he really taught us, or he taught me, through you. But now that you've mastered it, I'm able to come and you're closer to home. I'm able to get this training. But I really want you to walk us through this macro process because it really does transform your life. Mm-hmm. And it's not just about, losing weight. I mean, I can, and matter of fact, sometimes I don't feel like I've lost an ounce.
That's the hard part
because I haven't lost any weight now, but I look different.
Exactly.
So tell me about that. That's weird.
Yes, I will play mind games on everyone.
It does play mind games because you don't lose any weight, but you're looking at your body. You're like, wait a minute, I'm in a size 4. I was in a size 8 when I started, but the scale says I'm the same.
I know. And that's why you need progress pictures or measurements or clothes. There's something that tells you you're holding muscle. Muscle's heavy. You're holding bone density.
Yeah.
I often have clients come to me and they're like, I am like this heavy. I need to lose weight. And they're my weight. And I'm like, oh, like, I don't think that's a bad number.
Right.
But we're so ingrained and everyone's stuck on like, well, I weighed this much in high school and blah, blah, blah. I get it. It's ingrained in us. I still suffer from that sometimes and I have to check myself because I'm like, girl.
Now I can still, you will lose weight, right? You're going to lose some weight. So, I can still lose about 20 pounds, 25 pounds. But what people don't realize, when you start leaning, you look the same. Mm-hmm. You can lose 20 pounds and you almost will look you're going to be more plackety cow, they say, but you're going to almost look the same.
And it's interesting, because like you don't get that immediate wow reaction from people. Mm-hmm. But then like one day you post like a bikini pic or something and people are like, Since when do you have a six pack?
Exactly.
So it's like this weird, it's much more subtle, but also more wow, because it's a much healthier look.
Yeah.
You have the shape. You got that.
Now let's talk about Gillian, because you started off, you were 16, you had the disorder. You got into your 20s and you have a wonderful husband. When I met you, you didn't have a baby.
I know.
So let's talk about your fit image journey through that.
That was so cool because I did it the smart, slow way. I stuck to my truth. So I lifted weights my whole pregnancy. I lifted heavy. I ate so much protein. I gained at least 55 pounds, which the recommended was 35. And I was like, that's rude.
But you couldn't tell.
No, I mean, I felt great and I had muscle and I kept muscle and I think I even built muscle. And then I also took my sweet time losing it. So I was not someone who bounced back at all. Like I had a belly for quite a while. I also had a giant.
We were nursing, right?
I was nursing and I went from literally nothing till I don't know what happened.
Yeah. And then it went back down. And see, my problem is mine didn't go back down.
That was my hope.
Yeah. Well,
just
sad. Yeah.
But yeah, I took my time and I really made a point of that. I didn't rush the process at all. The initial weight fell off pretty easily just by
nursing too, right? Is that help? Is that true that nursing helps the stomach part, or is that true?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Okay.
Because for me, it's I know my energy balance so well.
Okay.
So for example, when I stopped nursing, I just adjusted my calories a little bit because I knew I didn't require as many.
Okay.
So again, it's always an energy balance. We love to be like, this one thing's magical, but it's but if you understand calories and macros and your body's needs, you can always adjust as needed. So
then you had the baby.
So I had the baby. And then
how big was the baby?
He was average, surprisingly. I was giant, but he was a 7.7.
Yeah. But you're little, so maybe that's why you were so.
And then he bulked so fast. He was like Hawaiian rolls, chunky monkey. And he's still solid. He's a protein baby.
Yeah. So you feed, how do you feed him now that you're training? How do you feed your family?
We eat all pretty similar.
Yeah.
And I tell women if they have a husband, if it's of a certain stature or whatever, I don't like the idea of having different meals.
Mm-hmm.
The old school of woman has lean cuisine, all her family has a
I know that's right. I know that's right. No.
And I don't think it's healthy for anybody.
Right.
So we eat the same thing, but the portions are different. So my son, he uses a lot of energy. So he's going to get a bigger rice portion and then a more moderate, protein veggie option. Mm-hmm. My husband is going to get a big carb and protein option and some veggies too, because he needs that. He's just a larger stature, so he needs more calories. Mm-hmm. And then mine, because of my blood sugar issues, I'm going to go pretty light on the carb side, but enough because I still want to support my muscles and my energy. Oh. Lots of vegetables and fiber for my blood sugar, my digestion, my hormones, and then lots of protein because I am in this stage of not wanting to lose muscle, but to build a little as well.
Wow. So what kind of carbs do you eat?
There's no bad ones. My favorites are going to be ones that have fiber in them, again, because of my blood sugar. My absolute favorite is squash because it's has so much fiber and it's a little lower on the carb scale. So my body reacts really well to it. Mm-hmm. But I'll eat potato, I'll eat sweet potato. I'm not against, any form.
How do you, if you make potatoes, another thing that you don't realize is that she's also a chef extraordinaire. I mean, I don't know if that's that French part, but she is. I mean, you can cook this. I mean, it's amazing. So if you have a potato, how do you prepare your potato? Is it mashed potato? Is it a baked potato? What is because some people, I'm saying that because I know a lot of us love potato.
Yeah. And I would say, you got to work with what you like. And then I say the macros is if you loved a super buttery mashed potatoes, work that into your macros. Okay. I happen to love mashed potatoes. So I love a baked potato. I love some air fried baby potatoes. If I go out, so eating out is kind of like a science.
Yes, let's talk about that. That's a big issue.
So for example, the other night I got a ribeye steak. So that's a much fattier steak. So I asked for.
I'm laughing because look at you.
I know it. And I asked for a baked potato because I knew, and with no toppings. Because I was same. I'm going to get a lot of my fats from the steak. So it's all energy balance, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm still going to enjoy the heck out of a baked potato, which I can eat with my fatty steak. And I had steamed vegetables, which are with a pile of mayo on top. I was like, really?
Oh yeah.
So I eat around that because again, I'm like, I'm getting my fats, my carbs. I'm just always looking to find that balance when I eat out, and it's just watching out for things like sauces and stuff.
So let's talk about eating out. Yeah, I traveled for about 14 days, and it was hard, right? Because when you're eating someone else's food, you don't know what the preservatives are in it. You don't know what they're doing to prepare it. So here I am in restaurants. I mean, I was in Tampa, I was in Puerto Rico, I was in, New Jersey, I was everywhere. I was all over the state, Texas. And here I am telling them, okay, well, you can make this, but don't put butter on it. You can make that, but make sure you put it in this. And they're just looking at me like, ma'am, you go home. I was at a 5-star hotel trying to tell them about how to prepare my potato, how to prepare my veggies. So how do you eat when you're out? I mean, so give me like a plain, like, okay, Deb, I'm going to Jamaica. What am I going to eat? What am I going to do?
Yeah. So I'm a recovering people pleaser, so I hate being high maintenance at a restaurant, but I know how to navigate a menu.
Okay, tell me.
So I'm always looking for the ceviche, something that's raw, not cooked. It's going to be super light. It's usually just marinated with like citrus, vegetables,
that's true,
tomato, whatever. So something ceviche is always good. Anything grilled often just has a little bit of oil. If I get a salad, I just say dressing on the side, and then I might not even use it if it has a lot of other things on it. It's just like navigating it out. So your big things that are going to add up are always going to be the sneaky things, like a salad. Like if it has cheese, avocado, nuts, dressing, this, that, it can be more calorie dense than a Big Mac. Still probably healthier. You get more micronutrients, but if your goal is to lean out and lose weight, it's not always going to be your best choice. Sometimes the best choice, often like honestly, like a steak and a baked potato, I realize is like one of the most macro-friendly restaurant options. Or if there's ever like a roast chicken or any big source of protein that's not drowning in oil or sauce. And that's why I usually, hey, can I have a sauce on the side?
Okay. So I call it my sandbox. This is a sandbox, right? I call gyms sandboxes. So when you're out of town, do you find the gym? What do you do?
Depends.
How long? Okay.
If it's a long trip, yes. If it's like a weekend away, never. I just walk, even like my family lives in Europe mostly. So when I go there, I just walk and I eat okay. And I find actually like,
how do you eat in Europe? You're in France. How? Listen here.
And I never gain weight when I travel.
A lot of people don't.
Because you walk more. And
that's true.
And on your house, I snack all the time when I travel. I don't really snack. And then I order mindfully. I'm always thinking, can I prioritize protein and vegetables? And then I enjoy too. I'm going to have a glass of wine. I might have dessert. And it's like being mindful of your portions and your energy balance is the most important thing.
Okay.